Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I'm Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone's down by my side. As always, how are you? Hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love, with the people that you love doing them with. Please do me a favour. Smash the like button for me like you always do on these videos. Always getting over 1,000 likes. It's insane. I love it. Really appreciate the support. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Join the 16,100 people that have gone before. Welcome back to them. Welcome to the new. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts. On today's topic, it's a sad one today. It's a sad match day review. We are going to sprinkle in a little bit of transfer news, but it's about players that we've already spoken about. I might as well start with that, get it out of the way. Fabrizio Romano has actually brought out a tweet today saying that Tottenham are in discussions with Barcelona regarding Ansu Fati. A loan deal until 2024 with the Barcelona side requiring that Tottenham take on the full extent of his salary, which I'm not sure how much it is, but it's supposed to be a lot. So it will be interesting. Then other places like George Bannister and other Tottenham ITKs are saying that Tottenham are interested in getting both deals done for Ansu Fati and for Brennan Johnson. Ansu Fati, of course, can play on the left and play through the middle. A very versatile utility player. We've spoken ad nauseum about the benefits of utility, the benefits of versatility. And Brennan Johnson obviously can play on the right and technically can play through the middle as well. So if we were to get both of them done, it would present us with a very much more versatile front line. Morning, guys. With players that can play left, right and through the middle, which doesn't really give us the out-and-out number 9 that we're looking for. But as I mentioned before, I feel like, you know, when the market is so thin, demand and supply economics, people know that Tottenham have got money. People know Tottenham are looking for a 9. There's so few 9s out there. I would imagine that just the cost of finding a 9 relative to real term valuations is going to be prohibitive, and that maybe they are looking to kick the can down the road with someone like an Ansu Fati and wait until next year and hope that the market is a little bit more ripe for plucking, if that makes sense. Listen, I'm a big fan of the idea of Ansu Fati and Brennan Johnson. As I said before, I've softened my approach to Brennan Johnson. I feel like, having spoken to a couple of Nottingham Forest fans who are friends of mine who obviously know and understand Brennan Johnson's game more than I have, I kind of put it to them that he's a one-track pony. They say that's definitely harsh, and that in reality he is asked to play a certain system and he's very good at doing what has been asked of him, but he has the adaptability to be able to improve and do things that haven't yet been asked of him. Morning, mate. And so with with Brennan Johnson, maybe it's a situation of Ange Postecoglou has spotted something in the player and thinks that he can get, you know, more juice from the squeeze than we have previously seen from him. And if so, that's fine. I just have a problem with the valuation, but if they can make the valuation metrics work by loaning players out or giving players to Nottingham Forest as part of the deal, then that's fine with me too. I certainly think that on last night's display, everyone was expecting Manuel Solomon to be a very viable stopgap or a mix-in for when Decky wasn't available or when Decky was out. Look, I'm not going to throw this at the feet of Manuel Solomon because last night's performance was atrocious from absolutely everybody, bar with the exception of maybe Mickey van der Ven. Everybody was atrocious. We'll talk about that in a second. But I do think that Manuel Solomon didn't really step up, didn't really show me that he has necessarily got the versatility that I'm looking for and that different amount of options. Like, that's what we're talking about all the time on this channel. We're talking about Ange's desire to have different players that can offer different things. And I think that when you look at Brennan Johnson, he probably does offer something different to what Manuel Solomon does. And Manuel Solomon offers things that maybe Brennan Johnson doesn't. Same would be said for Ansu Fati on the left. Perisic last night was absolutely awful. Like, he was pocketed by Tete for the entire time he was on the pitch. It was atrocious. Like, just atrocious. When Sonny got put into the left-hand side and came on, he didn't have much better luck either. Running against Tete, I think Tete just dominated. No one wanted to take him on. It was quite an impressive and intimidating performance by him. And to me, that is a worrying sign. If you don't have a player out there that can take on the right back of a team like Fulham, then you need options, and that's, I guess, what Ansu Fati is going to bring to the table, bring to the party. Isn't that right, mate? What do you think about it? Exactly. Terrible performance. So look, I'm interested, Ansu Fati, if we can get it done. Listen, as far as the wages, I've got no idea what the wages are going to be. I'm guessing it's going to be extortionate, but if we can find a way to get it done, then I would like him to come in. I think he can play through the middle as well. For what it's worth, let's actually pivot into the kind of game day review, because there's nothing really else to get our teeth stuck into transfer-wise right now. No noise about centre-backs and no updates to give you, at least at time of recording, regarding Højbjerg potential move to Manchester United, regarding Reggie going to Fulham or elsewhere, or Sanchez and Tanganga, etc. All those stories are still percolating from yesterday, but nothing that I've seen this morning to develop you on or to update you on the developments of. So yesterday, look, for me, I'm going straight out and say it, and dropped the ball. He dropped the ball. 9 changes, too many, unnecessary amount of changes. I understand his rationale for it after the game. He defended his changes by saying, look, I need to know if these guys can do it. How am I supposed to know until I see it? I think just a lot of Tottenham fans would say, you could have asked, we would have told you, But yeah, it was awful from the first minute. I heard Manuel Solomon, talk after the game, saying he felt like they had the first 25 minutes, but after that we dominated them. That wasn't how I, recall the game going at all. We were a little bit better in the second half, but Fulham were every bit our match all across the park. Polinia dominated the midfield with Reed, absolutely outclassed Ollie Skip, who was completely irrelevant. Højbjerg didn't know whether he was coming or going the whole game, couldn't string 2 passes together. If he's supposed to be replacing Bissouma, and Bissouma's been the 100 touch player who just dominates and controls the tempo of the game, Højbjerg cannot play a 100 touch type of player role. He's just not that guy. Never has been that guy. A different type of midfielder. But you saw immediately his propensity just to Harry sideways, back to Skippy back to him, back to Emerson, just going left to right on the centre circle when we did have the ball, and usually the second we pushed it forward, it would break down. Richarlison, I'm glad he got his goal. Really, really cool for him. I don't know whether the outcome will spoil the moment for him. It's nice that he's got another goal with his head. Apart from the goal, though, thought he was rubbish. Thought it was absolutely atrocious. Remember, the only time we scored a goal was when Tete was off the pitch. That was the only moment that Perisic had where he could cross a ball in without being just pressed within an inch of his life. He was put into the pocket of Tete for the entire game. Tete had to let him out when he went to the dressing room to change his trainer, and then as soon as he came back on again, even though the scoreline was then 1-1, he was straight back in his pocket. So was Sonny when they swapped in the last 20 minutes. Tete was really, really impressive. It's a problem for me. It's a real problem. If you can't have the upper hand against the right back, he's a good right back. I didn't know how good he was or how bad we were against him. You can make the same argument for Robinson on the left. He was more of an attacking threat, but he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. Getting there with deckled over Reed. Emerson and Sanchez had one of the toughest performances defensively that I've seen for a long time. Solomon wasn't getting back to help out either, and those two just dominated the Tottenham pairing all night down that side. They had so much joy. Look, Fulham didn't create too much either, so I'm not going to sit here and make out like it was a performance where we've got absolutely smashed. It was more of a sort of tough game that no one really kind of created too much to warrant a dominant win. But what I would say is Spurs were second best at everything. We couldn't get control of the midfield. Sanchez, for me, I think people may have been guilty of letting a couple of performances in pre-season and a decent second half against Brentford pull the wool over our eyes a little bit and thinking, oh, maybe we've got the Ajax Sanchez back. But in reality, we don't. We've still got the same Davinson Sanchez, who can't stay on his feet, whose positional awareness is, atrocious at times, absolutely shocking, and who is just not good enough. He's just not good enough. And he's the best of the rest, apparently. If Romero or Van der Ven gets injured, absent us bringing anybody else in, if we have to run with Sanchez for an extended period of time, it's going to be carnage, because every team will just attack down that side, especially if Emerson or Pedro Porro is going to be continued to be asked to play an inverted fullback role with Sanchez next to him as well. It's different with Romero. It's more confident and competent, and to me, I think the drop-off is crazy. Van der Ven, the only player on the pitch for me that, from the start, that really was still earning his salary last night and was up for it and doing the things you like to see. Unfortunately, he got another own goal. What's that? 2 own goals in 4 appearances. I'm not blaming him for it. It is what it is, but not a great record to have. Ben Davies, just irrelevant, anonymous, absolutely no comparison between him and Destiny Udogie. And as I say, I think that the last player I haven't really spoken about yet is Lo Celso. I think we should probably put to bed any previously held assertion that we've got, some player there. He just didn't look like he understood the assignment. He didn't look like he was interested. Didn't come deep. He was sort of staying at the top end of the pitch where the ball never was. And there was no communication. It was like every time, when one player zigged, another player zagged. I think that the real problem last night was continuity, communication, being on the right wavelength of each other. And you need people to stand up and grab hold of the game in those situations, calm things down, and kind of make that energy that penetrates through the team to be positive. And it felt like it was negative. It felt discoordinated and disconnected, uncoordinated and disconnected the whole way through the game. And I think you have to put that down to the fact that Ange Postecoglou decided to make 9 changes. There's no getting around it. I think he dropped the ball. Still love him, still love Ange Ball, still very excited, but I'm miserable that we're out of a cup competition at the first hurdle. It's the first time we've been in the second round of a cup for like 13 seasons because of our European pedigree, and we're out immediately. And for me, I just think that if the game plan was to experiment in the cups, to find out what you don't know about the players that you haven't seen in the cup, that's fine on paper. I still think it's a little bit disrespectful to the cup, and I understand why a lot of the fans prioritise or would want a cup over top 4 for once. Me personally, I prefer a decent season in the league, because the league is an ongoing marathon, and I'd rather finish 4th than finish 9th and do well in the cup, because that would mean a less enjoyable, less positive, sequential season for me. But that's just my take. But in any event, I still think you shouldn't be discrediting the cup at this stage against a team like Fulham. If the plan was to experiment in the cup, fine. Don't really agree, but okay. But you don't experiment to that extent unless you're playing against like a Port Vale or a League Two or a team that's a team that is not going to, in all likelihood, dump you out. When you get drawn against Fulham away, under the lights on a Tuesday night, you change the plan. You take it more seriously. Fulham literally had, a slightly different team. 3 or 4 players changed, not 9. But that team got a point at the Emirates just a few days ago. They're no mugs. With Paulinho in that team, they are very competent. with Robinson down the left and Tete down the right, they're very competent. And we didn't take it seriously. We didn't treat them with the respect that they deserve, and we're facing the consequences of it now. It is what it is. We go again, but I don't know. It's the first blemish on Angie's record for me. I'll forgive and forget. We move on. I know he had to learn, but I hope that he has learnt. It's an expensive lesson. I hope that he's learnt what he needs to learn about some of these players, about how many changes you can realistically make and not see a dramatic drop-off. One here and there, and I've still got issues. To make 9, just carnage, chaos, catastrophic. It is what it is, guys. Look, let's just hope that Daniel Levy was watching and that the experiment has at least yielded some positivity outside of the fact that Richarlison got his goal. That's the one positive. The second positive were the away fans on the night. Absolutely extraordinary. I had the volume dialed up just a tiny bit so it wasn't going to infect my microphone, and I could hear them loud and clear the whole night. Very impressive from the away fans. But the only other positive will hopefully be that Daniel Levy gets his checkbook out and makes some of these deals happen. Let's hope that Ansu Fati can come in. I know a lot of people are anti the Brennan Johnson deal. As I said, I'm okay with it in principle at this stage, because having spoken to the Forest people that I know, they made an argument to suggest that there's more to him that we haven't seen yet. He's a clever player who can learn and adapt. And I get it. I still don't think he's worth 50 million quid. 25, 30, whatever, and maybe it's a more reasonable punt to take. But I'll hand that sort of responsibility to judge over to the people that are paying him and people that are paying Forest. And let's hope we can get a centre-back or two in as well. And by Jove, do we need to keep everybody fit this season. That's the takeaway. We don't have the strength in depth. Even though it looked all right on paper, Ollie Skip, anonymous, Lo Celso, irrelevant, Højbjerg, outclassed, out of his depth in that particular role. Sanchez showing his colours again. Emerson Royal and Ben Davies just, again, pocketed all night. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. We should be able to beat Fulham. We didn't. We go again, guys. Onwards to Burnley. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, bye-bye.